Thank you for the applause, everybody. Over to you, Rahul.
Hello and welcome to the India Today, Business Today Post-Budget Roundtable. One of the big challenges in the new emerging world order are the deepening fissures between the Western liberal society and the China-Russia bloc when it comes to technology. And in these very choppy tech waters, what's the course that India must take to be able to put national interest first? The man entrusted with that very critical mission, which will in many ways determine the future of our country, is the Union Minister for Electronics, Information Technology, Communications and Railways, Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us, and it's fantastic to have you with us. I want to start by asking you about your big semiconductor mission, which is really the cynosure of all eyes. Begin by giving us a status update on where are we now. We've been hearing for a long time, badi announcement hone wali hai, kuch din ruk jao. It's been many weeks and months since, we're still waiting for that big announcement. So where are we at this moment, and how soon do you see India becoming a manufacturing hub for semiconductor?
Semiconductor is one subject which is very, very important for the country's future. See, today electronics manufacturing, which was practically negligible 10 years back, is close to $87 billion electronics manufacturing is happening in the country. iPhone is manufactured in the country, and the recent budget, whatever reliefs has been given on the BCD for some components, that is going to further increase the growth of mobile phones manufacturing in the country. We are almost reaching $9 billion exports of mobile phones this year. To cater to the most important raw material, semiconductor, a semiconductor policy was announced on the 1st of January of 2022. And if you recall, in each of my statements I had said in 14 to 16 months we'll have the decision in place. 14 to 16 months starts from 1st of March. Just wait for that much time. What I can tell you is, as an update, there is very strong, very positive reaction, very positive approach by semiconductor majors for India. And that's because of three things. First, we have very good talent base here. Second, the entire ecosystem which is required for semiconductor, the government has contacted each and every of those ecosystem participants. They are willing to come here. They have committed to come here. Third, a very good long-term plan which is there for 10 years. Our plan is for 10 years, right? So this kind of talent base, this kind of ecosystem, this kind of commitment for a long term, which is what is very unique to the country, and we should be seeing some real majors coming to India in the coming months.
So while we still wait for this idea to translate into reality, you would have seen very high profile criticism from the likes of Raghuram Rajan and many others about the semiconductor policy. I interviewed him at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and I'll quote certain aspects of his philosophical arguments and get you to respond to it. The first is that you got a $10 billion PLI scheme in trying to make India a semiconductor manufacturing hub. 50% of the project costs for domestic production will be taken care of by the government. One of the concerns your critics have is, what's the guarantee that once the PLI incentives are done away with, that these manufacturers will actually stay? PLI disguises uncompetitiveness of manufacturing, and there is a possibility that a hub like Vietnam may be able to attract some of these players once our government's incentives end. So let's start by getting you to respond to that.
Mr. Raghuram Rajan is a very well-known economist. I respect him a lot. When people marry economics with politics, their views change. Before 2014, Mr. Raghuram Rajan was always going for increasing credit, increasing credit, increasing credit. After May 2014, as the RBI governor, he changed his totally he changed his stance. He said, no, tighten, 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 tighten. The person who says that we should not be promoting manufacturing in this country, would you take his argument seriously? Had he been a neutral, a professional economist, I would like to get on a debate with him. But today, he is colored by his affiliation for a particular political party, rather than giving a professional economic rationale, he is giving politically colored arguments.
It's interesting to see the minister's response because my impression of Minister Vaishnav so far has been a technocrat. I've seen you now punching back as a politician, which is good. Now, the other criticism that I've heard, and I'm keen on getting you to respond to it, is the technology of the semiconductors which will be manufactured in India. Now, from what we've heard from Vedanta Foxconn, initially they'll produce semiconductors which are 28 nanometers. Now, it's being said that already the world is at 5 nanometers, and by the time this manufacturing facility becomes live, 3 nm semiconductor chips could be in production. So the concern is that we're actually spending a lot of money or giving a lot of incentive for technology which will be dated by the time it gets started.
This is a totally misplaced concern. If you look at the way semiconductor industry is evolving, and this is a development of last 4-5 years, right? Today, almost 52% of the total semiconductor market is in 3 sectors. What are those 3 sectors? First is electric vehicles, second is telecom equipment, third is power electronics. These are the 3 sectors in which semiconductors are having more than 50% of the demand today. And what are these sectors requiring? These sectors require higher voltage because they have to carry more current. So they have to, these are basically applications which are called high power applications, right? All these applications require semiconductors in the range of 35, 45, 60, those nanometers. So the entire world today is actually rebalancing their semiconductor manufacturing and getting more and more towards the higher nodes because that is where the demand is. If you look at the US CHIPS Act, they have kept a special provision for the higher nodes because everybody can see the future, the telecom revolution of 5G. It's a huge demand base, electrical vehicle demand. These are huge demand bases for semiconductor, and all these will be in the higher nodes.
The other concern is that there is already a global semiconductor production glut. Much of what is already being produced is finding no buyers because there's excess production capacity, lesser demand, and therefore if the slated aim of your policy is to encourage semiconductor exports from India, who will be doing the buying if there's already a production glut?
See, the semiconductor industry took about 50 years or 45 years to reach a level of about $600 billion, right? Next 6 years, it is going to reach $1 trillion. That is the growth which is there in semiconductor industry. Every industry will have its ups and downs, but there is a clear, consistent increase in demand. There are certain nodes which have demand today, lesser demand, which is a dip, but a large majority of the nodes, especially the higher nodes that we were talking just now, they are still in short supply, they are still in very high demand.
I want to come to cryptocurrency, where it's being said that there's some kind of standard operating procedure for crypto assets which is being worked on as part of the G20 deliberations that are happening. As the Minister for IT, how do you wrap your head around what kind of crypto regulation should be worked on by the government as part of a larger G20 plan?
Nobody other than government should ever issue any currency. Very clear. Every government, that's the fundamental basis of economics of any country over last many centuries, right? So crypto as a currency is a clear no-no. Crypto as a technology, the distributed ledger technology, the blockchain technology, that is one big thing which we must all promote, and our focus has to be primarily on the technology behind cryptocurrency rather than crypto as a currency.
The other thing I want to talk about which comes through the budget is your plan to revive BSNL. That you think of this as a strategic asset, and some of the arguments we are hearing is similar to what the government used to previously say about Air India. Now, a lot of people are concerned, saying that given that this is likely to be money not wisely spent. I don't want to say down the drain, but money not necessarily wisely spent, and that BSNL has been such a laggard for so long. Why is the government even bothering to make this investment? Because isse hona to kuch hai nahi.
Let us meet after about 10-12 months. Then I'll ask you this question: BSNL में क्या transformation हुआ?
But you know,
There's a huge transformation which is happening in BSNL.
Every telecom minister I've spoken to in many years has always said the same.
I'm telling you the facts. India's own 4G, 5G technology stack. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji gave this target in 2020, it was one of those very, very difficult tasks, very difficult target, because there are only about 5 countries which have telecom technology end-to-end. Developing a technology stack and placing it on a large network is only possible if you have full government support behind a technology company. That is item number 1. 2, maintaining one stabilizing factor in a highly competitive, highly dynamic, highly a sector which has a natural tendency towards being concentrated. That kind of sector, having one government PSU is a clear strategic choice. We have made a very, very clear choice, very rational choice, and whatever amount government is putting in it, you will see that this amount is going to be returned with good, very good margins on it.
You've announced in this budget setting up a Center for Excellence for Artificial Intelligence. Can you explain what this does? I mean, what chances does the government have of being at the cutting edge of innovation for AI? How do you hope to harness the opportunity provided by artificial intelligence and machine learning to try and improve the mechanics of governance in India?
So the centers of excellence for AI are primarily going to be in academic institutions and the startup world which is associated with it. Today in AI, India is rated as the highest talent concentration for AI. And this year, actually, India is hosting the leadership of GPay, which is the Global Association for AI. Our focus will be to create centers of excellence where the startup community, the academicians, all these sectors who are working at the cutting edge, it's not going to be a government center of excellence. It's going to be a center of excellence where all people associated with AI technologies, they are, excuse me, they are able to find a way by which they can take their ideas forward, produce different use cases, develop technologies, and then take it to the market.
I want to spend some time on your handling of the railways portfolio. Now, the good thing is that the budget allotted to the railway ministry as a percentage of total expenditure, which used to be about 1.5% in 2008-2009, is now projected to be at 5.5%. So this is the highest allocation for the railways at 2.4 lakh crores. Explain to everyone sitting here, how are you intending to best use the extra money you've got?
See, railways had a huge infrastructure deficit for many years. If you look at comparable countries, they invested significant amounts 30 years back. Unfortunately, in India, before 2014, railway was never considered as a sector in which you should be investing. 2014 onwards, the investment started from just about 20-25,000 as the budgetary allocation. Prime Minister Modi ji immediately doubled it to 45,000 crore when he took the responsibility of the country, kept on increasing it, and the result is visible. What railways electrified about 30-odd thousand in the 60 years of India's independence. Last 8 years, railways has electrified 33,000. So what was not done in 60 years has been done in the last 8 years. 2014, railway was laying just about 4 kilometers a day new tracks. This year, railway is laying 12 kilometers a day new railway tracks. Stations are getting modernized. New technology trains are coming, and these are like Vande Bharat. The entire technology has been developed in India, manufactured in India. I mean, India's talent, which was designing for the world, is today getting an opportunity to develop for the country. in terms of cargo, in 1950s, railways was having about 80% market share. At its lowest, railway reached 26% market share in cargo. Last year, from 26% to 27%, there is an increase. And this year, likely railway will be ending at 28% market share. So all these things have been possible only because the focus...
Gadkari ji in the morning, he says he'll ensure that all the other competitive means of avenues for transport will be impacted because of the roads that he's building. He says for places like Delhi, Mumbai, for places like Delhi, Chandigarh, and various places that he named, आपको और कुछ जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी 2 घंटे में यहाँ पहुँच जाओगे तो he's competing with you. He's got the same idea.
Absolutely, every sector will have great scope. See, transport economics basically plays out up to 200, 250 kilometer. Road is the right choice. From 250 to about 1000 kilometers, rail is the right choice. Beyond 1000 kilometers, air is the best choice. That is the way transport economics plays out in all countries.
One of the things that all railways ministers have spoken of very elaborately is the idea that there is excess railway land which is lying unmonetized, that there are these railway stations which can be handed over to the private sector, and then we later hear for various reasons it didn't work out, so the government has decided to step in and build that railway station afresh. What is the roadblock? And if a government which has the kind of majority that your government has can't monetize some of these assets which you yourself accept are not well utilized, then who will?
See, the railway land, the numbers that we see, if you go in details, most of the railway land is along the tracks. This is one major opportunity for expansion of railway network. I don't think the railway land along the tracks should ever be monetized. It should be preserved, it should be maintained, and as we grow, because in future, when you see, today we are about 1 lakh odd track kilometers in the country. We are going to have something like 1,50,000 track kilometers in the coming years. Acquiring new land, is that a better option, or using the existing land
That's
is
just
a
land
better
parallel
option?
to the...
That is the majority. That is about 85%.
The rail tracks.
That is 85% of the land. That is 85%.
No, but you have land parcels also, which former railway
Rahul,
ministers...
let's get into details. That is about 85% of the land available, which people say is surplus for railways, right? Then there are railway parcels, railway land parcels around stations. Now, development of station should not be done in isolation from the city. Development of station should be done as a master plan in which whatever is required for the next 30, 40, 50 years, we should plan today and keep developing railways, right? So, land around stations should be seen as one of those urban rejuvenation opportunity for city centers. That is the way Honorable Prime Minister has always guided us, that in development of stations, think of 50 years ahead.
So you're saying thinking to some extent is changing, which explains partly what happens to land along railway tracks. But what about railway stations?
I explained in railway stations that should be seen as a city center, that should be seen as urban hub, that should be seen as areas where new urban spaces get created.
No, but is that just spin because you couldn't privatize those railway stations or nobody came forward?
No. Please take a look at the station plans which we have posted on the social media sites also, and the work is going on. Take a look at New Delhi station, right? Now, New Delhi station, reaching New Delhi station in the current transportation sector is always a big task, right? So, how do we create facilities, transportation facilities where people are quickly able to come to the station and quickly able to go out? 1. 2, when station gets developed, lots of commercial opportunities come. How do we develop those commercial opportunities so that people get a commercial space which is absolutely close to a major transportation hub? Those are the parts of the master plan.
So your government was also talking very passionately about getting the private sectors into running some of the railways, having some of these trains operated by private operators or offering them, and that again is a plan which doesn't seem to have made much headway.
See, railway has a big social obligation. Social obligation, railway today transports 800 crore passengers every year and gives a subsidy of about 59,000 crore rupees. Food transportation, food grain transportation is subsidized. Fertilizer transportation is subsidized. There are at least 70 odd commodities which are subsidized. It's a large social obligation which railways is meeting, right?
No, so then there has been a
under
change in
those-
thinking,
Under
but
those
nobody's
conditions,
ever told us
Rahul,
transparently that there's a
Rahul,
change
you
in
have to
thinking.
listen, man. If you have to ask a question, you have to listen to the answer also. Under those social obligations, it is very important that we maintain a balance, and railways is a strategic sector where government has taken a clear decision that railway will not be privatized.
One of the things which was said by the Modi government itself when Suresh Prabhuji was railway minister was that, and this is in 2016, that by 2023, which is now, the first bullet train would start running between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. To some extent, there were issues with land acquisition, the government itself, which was a hostile government, your government didn't help. Now you're talking about 2027. Is that a firm commitment, or do you think this is again an idea which is taking much more time than originally anticipated to fructify?
I will actually invite you to go and see the site. The construction is happening at such a torrid pace, such a fast pace. Already 140 kilometers of pillars have been cast. Almost 28 kilometers of girders have been laid. All the 8 rivers, the bridges they have reached at deck level. All the 13 stations, the work is going on. Yes, in the Maharashtra section, till Mr. Thackeray was the chief minister, he never gave any permissions, never gave any clearances. As soon as Shinde Saab took the responsibility, Shinde Saab and Devendra Fadnavis ji immediately gave the permissions, and now the work will start in Maharashtra section also. I wouldn't take any name of any other country, but there are countries which have taken 15 to 18 years to design the high-speed railway. It's a very complex. See, driving a car at 100 kmph is a difficult thing, controlling it. This is a train which will run at 320 kilometers per hour. Designing that kind of complex system, making sure that it is in tune with our climate, with our soil characteristics, with our way of movement, everything, it takes 2-3 years, and there were 2 years which were lost in Corona. Now the pace is going on at very good speed, and today we are in a position where we have understood and absorbed the technology, and we can take up many more high-speed corridors in future.
So even if the government is able to get the Mumbai Ahmedabad high-speed or bullet train ready by 2027, I want you to share with people sitting here your larger plan. Do you see space, because this is taken so long from 2014, 13 years to get the first bullet train going when it's up and running. Do you see space in India for the development of high-speed railways in the way that China has done? A lot of people say it costs too much money, it's not the best way to be spending our resources. Will this be a one-off showcase project, or can this be an example which you replicate in other parts?
Just go a bit deeper into transport economics and urban economics, right? When a high-speed rail project comes, what does it do? High-speed rail is not merely a transportation project. Take the case of the first Shinkansen. From Tokyo, Nagoya, Kobe, Kyoto, Osaka. These 6 large economic zones, they become one economic zone, one super large economic zone. Same is the case from Mumbai, Thane, Vapi, Surat, Baroda, Ahmedabad. All these 6 cities will become one single economic zone because of high-speed rail. That's the power of a high-speed rail system, and no wonder wherever countries have done high-speed rail, those cities and those areas, those regions have got significant economic growth because of the high-speed rail.
Where else do you intend to go?
There are many more corridors which are being identified. There will be good corridors. India has huge potential. India has about quite a large number of cities which are million plus. So connecting such cities will be the target in coming future.
So you want to double down on?
Absolutely, there will be more high-speed corridors. We have absorbed the technology, we have understood the construction methods, we have understood how complex it is to design it, and now we can take more projects.
Given the political constraints which impact the functioning of the railways, what are you doing to improve the operational efficiency of the railways? You currently have an operating ratio of 98.22. how are you hoping to make the railways more efficiently run, given that one hand is tied because of politics and because of welfareism, consumerism, public welfare? I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but what's your plan?
See, the social obligation will remain. If we take out the cost of social obligation, railways operating efficiency would be, I mean, the operating ratio as we call, would be something like 75%, right? So that 25% is basically the social obligation cost. That will be there. We are committed towards our social obligation.
We leave it over there. Minister, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Rahul.
And it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us at the India Today Business Today Budget Roundtable. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.